All right, here we go on a Thursday. It's our late night happy hour, our law and sporter night, our legal podcast. And Justin Watkins is here from Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Yesterday was crazy. Got a lot of reaction to what we saw, and also the legal ramifications of these dope terrorist morons breaching the Capitol, getting into the chambers. Pretty amazing stuff. Pictures all over the place. I did want to play the reaction. We played this today, or this happened today, on Cofield Company, where Xavier Pope came on and just gave his raw, logical / emotional response to what he saw yesterday, and especially the lack of arrest as compared to what we saw over the summer and the treatment of these terrorists versus the protesters. Some people got a little squirrely amongst the protesters, but we saw a lot of peaceful protesters getting just freaking jacked up. I think one of the indelible images, and I know Justin got all pissed off about it, was an officer in one city walking up to someone, pulling their mask down, and then they're like spraying mace in their face. Like, what the fuck? They're just standing there, and you're going after them. But here's Xavier Pope reacting to what he saw yesterday, because that was pretty horrifying.
There were only 14 arrests by Capitol Police, 8 arrests by DC Police, with hundreds of people gathered to hear their Führer, Donald Trump. And we saw the cooperation between white nationalists, white supremacists, anti-democracy traitors, and insurrection to the U.S. government being aided by law enforcement. We have to be able to have a really important conversation about that. We had Capitol Police literally open a gate. This video, it's not in dispute. Open the gate and allow people to scale the walls, scale steps of the Capitol that is normally really heavily guarded. You have to go around several layers of security just to get into the building. So these people were allowed in. This was not a storming of the Capitol. The term storming of the Capitol basically would mean that they've used violent means. We saw the Capitol Police, but I say they hit people with bottles and pipes. Bottles and pipes, these were not the colonists who used their own version of weapons. There weren't guns and there weren't rat-a-tat-tat. None of that was happening. We didn't see any armed fighting between these people. They were let in. We had a police officer take a selfie with people that were literally in revolution of the government. See, we also had one of the people helped down the stairs like a princess at the ball. We literally had people, the door was open and people ushered out like they had just got off an amusement park ride. Welcome to destroying the Capitol of American democracy. Come back soon. That's what we saw. And just like Russell Westbrook, now with the Washington Wizards, basically stated if they were black, this would not have happened. It shows this country that they were put this election over the top for Joe Biden were African Americans in state of Georgia where people did never think would turn blue. Milwaukee, where we saw Jacob Blake, who the police officers in that situation not being charged for shooting him in the back, that almost caused the NBA to stop functioning because players decided not to play, which also led to LeBron James leveraging his power to be able to get voting in various arenas around the country and could have helped tip the scales in multiple cities. Philadelphia, Detroit. It was your votes don't matter to us because this is our country. They wanted to take it back, make America great again. No, it was make America white again. And the anger, the unmitigated gall to be led into a bedrock of American government that had not been breached since the British in 1812. The British 1812? No one remembers 1812 because they weren't alive in 1812. And we have sent a message to the world that national security of the United States is now broken. And the commander-in-chief chose to incite violence against the government. It is absolutely appalling. It has gone too far. And we need to be able to address this and we don't need to call it a protest. We don't need to call it capital chaos like some outlets are calling it. This was outright insurrection, sedition, and treason. And every single person, and 14 people arrested, 68 people arrested, there should have been thousands of people arrested. 14,000 people arrested over the summer during George Floyd protests. 14,000 people. The streets of D.C. cleared out for the president to hold up a Bible with tear gassing innocent people. People fighting for freedom were treated with less dignity than a dog. But people who hate America, who hate people, were allowed free reign to treat the Capitol like it was a playground in the center of a mall. I am absolutely disgusted, and every American should be disgusted too.
All right, that was Xavier Pope, Cofield and Company today. Outraged, as many people were yesterday. I think there's a division amongst people. I don't think it's 50-50. I think there's a good number of people out there, Justin, who were not surprised by what happened, and yet there were so many more who were like, I cannot believe this is happening. And man, we've seen the steps that led up to this, and what I fear is if no one steps in and does anything to penalize the folks who did that yesterday, why wouldn't they just continue to do it all over the country?
Yeah, I mean, the arrests are up quite a bit now. I think I was listening to the DC mayor this morning, and she said it was at 60-something, and that the DC police were going to be putting out video evidence and pictures and asking people to identify. I saw some of that posted by the DC police and some of the partner organizations actually posting pictures and still frames of videos of people, and that Twitter was really responding and identifying those people. Let's be real about the fact that they committed a crime. Every single person who stepped in there committed a crime. It was unlawful entry. It was trespass. They were ordered out, and they did not. And so that's a crime. If they destroyed property inside or outside, broke windows, went into legislators' offices and destroyed tables and chairs, that's a crime. If they got into a brawl or a fight with Capitol Police or anybody else that was defending the property, that's a felony. If they hurt somebody, killed somebody, that's a felony. And so I expect, knowing a little bit about the Capitol, very little, but a little bit about the Capitol, and having served in the legislature in Nevada, the number of cameras that exist just in Nevada's legislature is a lot. And they're always rolling. And I've heard there are hundreds upon hundreds of cameras in the Capitol that are doing the same thing. So I think it's going to be difficult for the federal prosecutor, which in this, see, DC is weird. It's not a state. So the prosecutor for crimes on federal property in DC is the Attorney General. So I think it will be difficult for the Attorney General not to come out of this, whether it's this Attorney General or whether it's Merrick Garland, who was nominated today by President-elect Biden to be the next Attorney General, going to have to prosecute hundreds, if not thousands of people. And it should be fairly easy to do. I want to kind of make some points in addition to what Xavier was saying, and some that maybe just came out more recently since when you guys recorded. Number one, President-elect Biden made a speech today in which he was nominating Merrick Garland as the Attorney General. And what he noted was that the Justice Department was created in 1870. And the reason the Justice Department was created was to enforce the civil rights that were granted as a part of the end of the Civil War. They did not feel that, left up to the states by themselves, that the civil rights of all Americans would be protected. And as President-elect Biden says, when you look at the difference between the appearance of active militia on the steps of the Capitol during Black Lives Matters versus the lack of that during this protest, he thinks it's an injustice and that the Department of Justice needs to be brought back to its roots of asserting equal justice across all races and across the nation. So from my perspective, I agree with a lot of what Xavier said. And I can only imagine the feelings that somebody would go through as a Black American witnessing this and seeing the difference in response, not only in law enforcement, but in the media. And so I hope that we have the right president coming in place and the right officials being named to cabinet positions and high-level government positions to continue a trend towards equality. We're far from it, but we need to continue that arc towards equality. The one sort of disagreement I'll have with Xavier is I did see quite a few videos of Capitol Police in brawls. I mean, in outright brawls with some of these protesters. Well, these they're not protesters, they're insurrectionists. But so I did see some fighting. What I also saw reports of today, verified reports, were that some of the protesters were military and police and were flashing their badges to try to get in. And that's sickening and is a continuation of a Department of Justice report that's been out for now 6 years after Ferguson that said, we are aware that throughout the nation, there is an infusion of white nationalism coming to our police departments. And there needs to be some corrective measure. That clearly still needs to be the case. Am I going to say that every single person who is out there is a white nationalist that was appearing in that plaza? I don't think that's true. But I think a lot of them were. And then I think the ones who weren't, I feel really sorry for them, because the ones who actually believe, there's people out there, a ton of people who actually believe that this election was stolen, that this was all bullshit. They are in a sad echo chamber of this world. And, my dad's 79, lifelong Democrat, but even he gets caught in misinformation. He was talking to me just over New Year's. He's like, oh, they said they found 100 more thousand votes in Pennsylvania than there were voters. And I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit, right? They in court were asked by a judge whether that was true, and the lawyer said no, because if they said yes, they would be prosecuted for perjury. So I think it's a super sad day yesterday and into today. It's not something I'd ever thought I'd have to talk to my kids about. They've witnessed already so many things in the first 10 years of their life that I've never seen in my life. And this was just another thing trying to explain how this could happen.
But I mean, it was predictable with what happened in Michigan, right? And when we laid the groundwork by having folks allowed into the Capitol building in Michigan with long guns. Like, why wouldn't that? Why? And they got in peacefully, but why wouldn't other people think, we can walk into any government building. These are our buildings. And if we got to force our way in, so what? And honestly, with anyone out there who's like, hey, I don't see racism or systemic racism in law enforcement, come on. That we can come up with just dozens of images, like mirror images, where one person's treated one way, a person of color is treated a different way. As a white, why wouldn't I believe I can do anything I want? And that's why I started out. My initial question was, when they get these people who got into the Capitol and to different levels could have multiple charges levied against them, they have to get fucking slammed. It has to be public. A message needs to be sent. Otherwise, why wouldn't wackos in every state just go and just start taking out politicians at the House and the Senate in every state? I mean, the message was sent. In this case, walk right in.
Oh, hey, and let's not sugarcoat it. This specific event was very predictable, right? All of the law enforcement that monitors these far right Facebook groups and web pages and all of that were sounding the alarm. The members of Congress, the chief of the Capitol Police resigned today because he fucking lied to members of Congress who said, "Hey, we're worried about this January 6th thing. Here's what we're hearing." And the chief of the Capitol Police said, "Oh, we're all good. Look at all the things we've got. We got partnerships with our other jurisdictions, the National Guard's on call. We've requested them. They've said yes." Twitter is filled with members of Congress talking about what they were specifically told upon questions to the chief of Capitol Police, and that he lied.
Yeah.
And so that's incredibly troubling. The other thing that I don't think Xavier knew at the time you guys were doing recordings is these people were armed, right? One of the people that they arrested had 11 Molotov cocktails ready to go. So, I mean, we're talking bombs. And they let people with bombs into the Capitol. Try to climb the fence of the White House and see how many steps you make it before a bullet goes in you.
Right.
I don't understand. I mean, I like the idea that the Capitol is accessible. I've gone in there. I've walked through the building. It's a really cool thing to see. But it's not like this came out of nowhere.
What is the process of getting in, though?
When I went in there, gosh,
Are you an invited guest? Do you have to call ahead? Do you get on a list? Do you have to know someone?
Yeah. There's a list. Yes, you do have to be on a list, and it's like metal detectors, like the airport. You have to go through a screening process, and so there is some checks and balances. You can't just you're not supposed to be able to just walk up in. And I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to follow the comments. Oh, the visitor center. I'm talking about being able to go into the rotunda, being able to go into chambers and the offices, all of that stuff. You can't go into you can go into the atrium. Anyway, so I mean, obviously they need a change of leadership. If members of Congress are being lied to by the chief of the Capitol Police, then that's a real big problem. If we have other states offering to give us National Guard, like the governor of Maryland said, and it was declined or was not authorized because it couldn't go through the president, that's problematic. I see a lot of comparisons being made to some of the violence in rioting during some of the Black Lives Matters protests. And to which I say, I don't support the violence in rioting at any protest. Violence in rioting should be arrested and prosecuted. I support Black Lives Matter movement. I support, the marches and demonstrations that were going on in Portland. But then when you saw them like throwing fireworks at federal officers who were surrounded the federal courthouse and breaking windows, from my perspective, those aren't protesters at that point, and they're lucky they didn't get shot. I think we got to have a hard look at some of the measures to protect the Capitol, obviously, but it's I think a big problem, which I agree with Xavier, is a lot of this was created from within. The warning signs were there, and they ignored them.
Yeah, they've been talking about this for 2+ weeks, going even further back than that. That there was going to be this meetup. It was on the 5th and 6th. You knew that there was a possibility of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people showing
They
up.
had fucking T-shirts.
Yep, I saw that. Yep, they had T-shirts. I don't know. To me, like when I see an image of 200 people standing behind a barrier and there's 6 police or 7 police trying to hold them back, that reeks of an orchestrated effort. I think this goes so much deeper. The National Guard stuff. We could say, hey, it was all paperwork, but I think there are people who wanted this, and I don't know who started it, who is the organizer. I think they wanted people to get into Congress, and I think there's people out there who are like, you know what? I'm talking about in the government. Fuck them all. Fuck everyone who's a representative, regardless of the party. Screw the senators. I got to see proof. If this wasn't a coordinated effort, you realize what buffoons we have running some of these departments. You honestly had in one barrier situation holding people back 6 or 7 officers. I mean, you can't be that incompetent.
I can't agree with fuck all the senators and Congress people, because there is one person, 2 people, sorry, that the chief of the Capitol Police answers to, right? It's the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader. Okay, a Vice President as well can be a part of that. And there's only one person who can authorize the National Guard in D.C., the President of the United States. And so if you're a congressperson from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th district in Nevada, I can't fault you for this. I mean, none of those people in any of those districts have any chairmanships of any kind of consequence at this point. They don't have the power to authorize any additional protections. The only thing they could do was sound the alarm, and it sounds like a lot of them, I'm not speaking specifically of Nevada, I'm speaking of congressional workers, were raising the alarm and were told lies. So, right now, this goes to 2 places in my book: the chief of the Capitol Police and the President of the United States.
And that was the case I was making. If there are people out there who are like, screw all politicians. I mean, who thinks like that?
A lot of people think like that.
Who thinks like that in power?
Yeah.
I know anarchists around the country think like that.
Yeah.
It's just it was so dysfunctional. Again, like I said a minute ago, you can't be that we know that all government is not filled with complete buffoons. Come on.
I mean, I heard today CNN was reporting that some of the leaders have spoken to Joe Biden, and he doesn't have an appetite to be supportive of impeachment or the use of the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. But I think impeachment has to happen here. I mean, this was sedition. This is a direct violation of the Constitution. It's not even abuse of power. He doesn't even have the power. It is treasonous. And to think that he didn't incite this, orchestrate it, is, I think, a exercise in futility of logic. It is not. I can't get there. In fact, there were reports that while they were in the Capitol, some of the people inside of the Capitol were talking to White House aides. So, I mean, this is exactly what he wanted to happen, and I think he should be removed from office. And I understand that we need to take the temperature down on partisan politics right now, but what you permit is what you promote, right? And if you allow this to happen without punishment, I mean, to the top, to the president, then what's to stop it from happening again, or the next step further, or the next step further? So I think there has to be a clear message from Congress to impeach and remove. I think it should be bipartisan. I think it should, It's got to start in the House because the Senate has a unanimous consent to adjourn until the 19th. No business. So it has to start in the House, and I think they should do it.
And you see the breaking news that came down like 2 minutes ago. One of the officers from the Capitol Police is now dead.
Yeah. So clearly some of them were fighting, like I think that there was dissension amongst them. Some were kind of backing off and letting it happen. And I'm telling you, I saw some videos of some beatdowns both directions. So clearly some were trying to hold the line.
I know I keep going back to it, but do you think this is the worst it's going to get? I'm sort of amazed. If I were a public servant, a high profile public servant, I'd be worried. And I wouldn't be worried when I'm in DC. I'd be worried when I'm at home. I'll do, as an example, Josh Hawley's been real vocal, right? And here's the thing. I think, the most intense MAGA crowd doesn't really give a shit that Josh Hawley is sort of backing Trump. And just watching him walk, seeing pictures of him like walking without, like I would have Floyd Mayweather fucking security around me, right? If I'm going to play these games and, be a high profile person, for benefit, for gain down the road, I think we've set up a crazy violent situation here. And yeah, if I were serving office, man, I'd batten down the hatches. I wouldn't feel as free and safe as I have the last whatever. In some cases, these people have served for 40 years. I'd be careful.
I mean, I think you should always be careful if you're in public office based on partisanship. It's not like assassinations haven't been happening throughout our history. They have been, right? I never worry. I've worried more about my safety as a lawyer against high-profile defendants than I have about in the legislature. That's because nobody knows who an assembly person is. And if I ran for Congress, I would probably be like I was in the assembly, which is I'm trying to be the bridge builder and not the hyper partisan. Although, hey, I agree those people need to be there. Like some of those people do need to be there. Some of those people are actually representing their constituency, not in the hyper partisan way, but in their ideals, the policies, the far right policies and the far left policies. Not the bullshit rhetoric. I'm talking about pushing people to the right or pushing people to the middle and pushing to the left and pushing into the middle. That's what our American democracy is all about. That's cool. They should have their voices. But the opportunists, the hyper partisan for gain, like you're saying, the ones who are gonna, the ones who are trying to raise their profile through hyper partisanship, yeah, I would be worried. So I agree with you. I mean, if I was going to play those games, I would have a hell of a lot of security too. And I'll tell you, when you get higher up in there, Harry Reid in his heyday had a hell of a lot of security.
He did. Okay.
Yeah.
Good question here from Allie, right? Plus Money Honey. Can the police officer's family sue Trump for accountability like Goldman's family did with OJ? They'll probably go after someone, right? Who would they go after? And can police sue the police department? Can they sue, individual personnel, people in the hierarchy? What kind of wrongful death suit can you put together?
Yeah, so you can't sue your employer for wrongful death. That's covered by workers' compensation. And you can't sue your employer's employer or your employer's or independent contractors or your co-employees, anybody connected to your employment. So by that logic, the president is your employer's employer. And so, no, I don't think that you would see that be successful. Even if he was derelict in his duty. Now, the interesting question would be to sue his campaign and maybe to sue him as the candidate after he's out of office 2 weeks from now, saying the rally that incited this violence was not you, president, it was you, candidate, because that's all a Trump campaign event. In which case, you might be able to get something there. I'm just sort of spitballing this stuff and storyboarding it out loud.
I was also thinking of one of the most recent things on an interview, and then it hit Twitter big time. Eric Trump 2 days ago was saying basically there's going to be payback for Republicans who don't back his father. Now, it never says, hey, go after this senator, go after this representative, but, people could get so inflamed by that, then they start looking for targets.
Yeah, I mean, during these times, I can't help but just think exclusively about The Social Dilemma, man. That damn documentary basically foretold what happened today. I mean,
what do they say? What do they say repeatedly at the end? Like, all of them is like, we're headed toward a civil war.
Yeah, because you get pushed into your echo chamber and then you get fed conspiracies. I saw Facebook did its own internal review, and they found that 64% of the people who join these conspiracy theory groups and get all clustered together to fucking go crazy about shit find those groups through the algorithm's recommendation. So they don't even go find it. It finds them. And that's super scary. So I hope out of all this too, that we see some, I don't have the answer. It's really fucking complicated, but I hope that we find some sort of reforms in social media that can make us safer and make people make the media that we all perceive me more trustworthy and honest, because I believe that the people that do a lot of this shit believe what they're doing, that they believe all this shit. I don't believe that Donald Trump actually fucking believes that he won the election. I think he's fucking lying about that. I don't believe anybody higher up, I don't think Hawley fucking believes any of that shit. I think he's being an opportunist. But I believe the people that they convince this shit of believe it. And that's sad.
Justin, this is Pizzagate guy times thousands.
Yep.
And they finally launched into action, just like Pizzagate guy did, driving up from North Carolina, and he's like, "Yeah, pedophiles, all the code words. Let's go. I got to free these kids."
Yeah, got to free the kids.
Said this time you got thousands and thousands of people like, "Hey, we have to take down this fraudulent government, or at least part of it, that is, rigging the election." They believe it.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know. It's a super complicated answer, right? Because we are a freedom of speech, freedom, and that's free to speak untruths, not about other people, but about situations. You're allowed to be wrong. That's part of the American ideal. So I don't know how we juxtapose that with our constitutional freedoms and still protect the citizens of this country from such misinformation and propaganda as to make them and our country dangerous. It's a tightrope.
Any questions in the chat room specifically about the stuff that happened in DC and legal issues around it? We are getting a major change in leadership, right, Justin, here? And everything's going to be changed and flipped over in less than 2 weeks. I would think they would come out swinging right away if people aren't arrested. Enough of the people are. A good example. Like I saw someone. I think it's the attorney for Jacob Blake tweeted out a couple hours ago. Like this. Here's the guy's name. Here's the asshole who he didn't say asshole. Here's the idiot who was sitting in Nancy Pelosi's office. Richard Bennett, I think is his name. Like, I guess I could understand. Hey, if they need do they need time? Hey, we got to build a case. Like, do they need time? He's in the building.
Well, arrest him. The person's probably not there in their jurisdiction anymore, right? They're good. They said that of all the people that they arrested, only one person was a DC resident.
Oh, really?
People fucking flew in for this shit.
So do you make a prediction here? Will we have states that will not cooperate?
Yes.
Wow.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it fucking.
Well, I guess I would say number one candidate.
Florida.
Number one candidate would be Texas, since they tried to sue the rest of the country or key states over the election. And you're right, Florida would be right up there. How soon before we see friggin' DeSantis, have the back of whatever, if there's 8, 10, 15 people the feds want, and they're like, we can't cooperate. Sorry.
Well, technically, it's not up to the governor in most states, right? It's going to be the attorney general. And I did see a number of different attorney generals putting out statements that said, if you were there and you come home and we find out, you will be prosecuted, here. Now, they're going to need the cooperation of the federal U.S. attorney for that state and that region to do it. But like I said, there's going to be a big change in leadership. If Merrick Garland gets confirmed, he'll be the head of the Department of Justice. He'll be the attorney general. The other two, the deputy and the third ranking member, were both minorities. The first woman of color is going to be the third ranking member, the highest that anybody's ever gotten in that as a woman of color. So, she was a former attorney for the NAACP. So I think you're going to see changes, and God bless them. I hope it happens.
Can you actually charge someone with inciting a riot in 2021? Is that a real charge? And what would you have to have on them to charge them with it?
So some legal scholars think that actually Trump can be impeached after he leaves office. And it's sort of an odd thing, but you think, well, impeachment was removal from office, but there's two penalties associated with that. It's removal from office and barring from ever running from office again. And so that's one potential option that's available. Can he be charged for federal crimes after he leaves the presidency? The Department of Justice opinion on that is yes. Unresolved in courts, though, right? I mean, the Department of Justice also has the opinion that he cannot be charged with a crime while in office, which I disagree with.
When you served your 2 years, things got heated, right?
Yeah.
Anyone charge each other? Let's start with anyone scream over each other? Anyone get up and start going at someone?
Oh, fuck yeah, man. Not often. There was an incident alleged of, I wasn't there. I think this might have been the special session right before we got there, the Raiders Stadium special session, where two legislators in the back stairwell duked it out or got choked out or something happened that way.
Really?
Shouting matches. Yeah. I never saw anything come to fisticuffs while I was there. But it's not like I don't want to say that it is anything like DC. It is not. It's far more cordial. Like I've told you a number of times before, when I was there, passed 600 bills, and over 90% of them had over 90% support. It's right. Largely as a functioning government, a bipartisan governance in this state. Now, part of that is because we have some super powerful lobbying groups like mining and resorts. And so when they want something, they get it on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
So that happens a lot.
Someone comes at you're essentially what? You go right for a double leg? That quells the situation quickly? If you got to take
Oh yeah. I just got to dodge the first punch. If I dodge the first punch, I feel very confident. If somebody's got equal training as me, then maybe I'll be in trouble if they're bigger and stronger. But I don't think there's going to be anybody in the legislative building that has that kind of training.
I don't know. In the House last night, it was actually this morning. I don't know what time it was, 2 or 3 in the morning. Did you see sort of who you couldn't really get it on camera, but who was ready to square off?
Yeah,
it was pretty interesting.
He's all fucking pissed about being called a liar. Out of all of this, that's what broke you, is somebody calling you a liar, saying that when you're objecting to the Pennsylvania vote and you're saying that there was fraud, that you're a liar. That's what broke you. Fucking people died because of that bullshit.
It was Andy Harris, who's 63. People reported that Colin Allred was the guy, but I think Allred was in the scrum, but it was a guy named Al Lawson So just so people know, Harris, I don't know. I have no idea of his background. He's 63, didn't look like a giant guy. Colin Allred played linebacker at Baylor. He's a rep from Texas. He played in the NFL with the Titans. He played at 6'1", 238. I was like, oh, shit. Because I don't know how many people in the room have been involved in bar fights or near bar fights. I've had a few where I started stepping towards someone, and then I got a good gander at him. It happened at Casino Royale, right? And I wound up getting sucker punched and got like my tooth chipped because these guys got tossed out. They snuck back in and kind of snuck around a half an hour later and just blammo right to my face. But before that, I had walked up towards the guy and I was like, oh, shit. Like this is I'm like, at that time, I'm probably 32. It was like a 21-year-old and like a big guy. And if you're Harris, I wonder yesterday if you're like, oh, fuck. Like Allred's coming at me because the guy he actually got into it with was a guy named Al Lawson who played in the NBA. Now, he's old. He's 72, but he looks like he weighs 270 pounds. He's like 6'2", 270. I'm like, yeah, let's start fighting. Let's just throw it all out the window and just have reps throwing hands. This will be great. What a great example. By the way, what a great example to set after, you're sitting there and you're like, people are losing control. You can't storm the Capitol building. But you guys, it's okay for you guys to scream at each other and near fist fight. Embarrassing.
2 hours after, they were able to open them back up. It took them 2 fucking hours to get to the point of fighting or threatening fighting. It's a joke, but it reminds me of this old joke I heard. Maybe you've heard it. Maybe it's popular, but there's this joke about there was this bank thief that was going around the DC area. He was robbing all these banks and he dressed up in this clown costume. Well, they caught him in the act one time. They let him on a high-speed car chase, and he parked in front of the Capitol building and ran into the House of Representatives, and they lost him in the crowd. Bunch of clowns.
Hey, you know what I'm seeing? Al Lawson listed at 6'7". I thought he was bigger. I saw him in some photos, and again, he's old, but he's
still pretty fucking big to me, man.
He's a monstrous dude in terms of he looks fucking gigantic. And I see that Harris served. By the way, the guy speaking who was calling them liars and said the truth hurts. He's a Marine, so I don't know.
Yeah, with Connor Lamb, right? Yeah.
I
was watching that speech, and he.
By the way, why hasn't it's his own state? Why hasn't Ted Cruz challenged Allred to a fight? Or is he gonna use Jim Jordan again? Who is he trying to sick? He tried to sick Jordan on someone. Like, you fight Jim Jordan. Like, you fight, you fat fuck.
Oh, dude, and I fucking am. Jim Jordan drives me fucking crazy, but I wouldn't fight him. He would whip my ass.
No,
whatever skills I have in wrestling, he has tenfold in spades. And the dude, he's 15 years older than me, and he looks like 15 years younger than me. He looks like he'd just fucking take me behind the woodshed, chop me up.
Well, you remember, were you on when we were showing the video of Dan Gable with President Trump?
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's giving him a whatever medal, the Medal of Freedom.
Presidential Medal of Freedom, yeah.
Presidential Medal of Freedom. And Trump's like, I'm a pretty big guy. How would I fare against you? Could I beat you? And Gable, from what I hear, is like really serious, dude. And Gable just looks at him. He's like, not a shot.
Yeah.
That was it. It was like, and Trump's like, and Gable's like, no, I fucking meant it. I'll break. Gable's as old as Trump. Like, come on, Dan Gable's like one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of the country, an all-time coach. Like, he's not joking about you beating his ass.
Yeah, he ain't hearing that. He didn't wrestle, for all those years and not lose any matches for all those years and put in those hours for somebody to call him a bitch. It ain't gonna happen.
Our buddy Kirk in Kansas City. Did we, Kirk? Was I around you when we had another fracas around a bar? Or, was that when the knife got pulled out or something? I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah, you better. The point from the beginning with all these guys, with Lamb and Harris and Allred and Lawson, like, size up your opponent. Be real careful. Real careful. Yeah. Dan Gable's a fucking legend. He's a complete beast. What else do we want to cover tonight? Oh, you know what? I wanted to mention this one. Come on now. Is Facebook serious, patting itself on the back that, the Trump banned? Now?
All right.
Now Zuckerberg, really? Now, come on, man.
Now this is what is so infuriating to me about people jumping off the bandwagon now. You know, the resignations from cabinet members today and last night is like, this was the natural consequence of all the bullshit that has been going on. He's been leading up to this the whole time. And we were saying he's leading up to this the whole time. And it was all cool until the last fucking 2 weeks. And then, you know, bullshit. I'm not fucking hearing it. I mean, I'm glad they took him off social media last night. I am. I don't know if it's, you know, I don't know the legal ramifications of it. I don't know. I don't think there are any legal ramifications of it. I don't like quelling First Amendment speech. I don't. But you know, I just can't help but say I was cheering a little bit when his accounts got suspended. I'm like, good, shut the fuck up, right? Like, look what you did. You know, go sit in timeout. So it's better than not having done anything. I mean, he's got his Twitter account back, so I don't know. At least Facebook's keeping it down for a couple weeks.
But I hadn't thought of this one. This is a deep thought. It's funny that Congress got to feel like school children yesterday hiding from shooters. Now, will it have any impact on many of them? No. But
has fucking impact on the kids, man. Look at TikTok today. Bunch of kids doing videos about how Congress is just barely getting exposed to the shit that they go through every day.
Oh, really? That was a big thing today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't lost on the kids, man. I agree with Rock and Roll Cabbie. Who the fuck's on Facebook? I'm not. I mean, I have an account just in case I need it for something, but yeah, I'm not on Facebook.
There's tons of people.
Yeah.
There's tons of people still on there. Because as you said at the start of this, you get in your little circle and it's the echo chamber and people love it, man. They're with others that agree with them and they keep building their angst and their anxiety, and you know they've got folks they feel comfy around. So yeah, again, back to the Social Dilemma documentary. If you haven't watched it, it's amazing. It really is. Like the Facebook plan, the game plan, the blueprint it's mind-boggling. It is. I mean, it's the most powerful advertising tool in the history of the world.
Influencing tool. It's bigger than advertising, right? It can influence your behavior.
Right. It's craziness.
Most efficient propaganda machine that ever existed. Now, whether they choose to use it for propaganda or allow it to be used for propaganda is, well, I should say remains to be seen, but that's not true. It clearly is being used right now.
Someone was asking earlier for a pick-me-up. That usually means if you can keep your sanity, Justin.
Okay.
That we bring up a Karen.
All right, let's do it.
I really don't know what the hell set this up, but this lady is named Soho Karen. She was in New York, but I think she's originally from, or she lives in LA. And it's a case, and I guess there's been a lot of incidents with this person. For some reason, she thinks she's lost her phone. She doesn't think she's lost her phone. She's lost her phone, and she thinks either an African-American, I don't know if it's the dad or the son, and then she gets the hotel involved. Man, I actually think this went well for her because this could have gotten really freaking ugly. Let me cue it up here.
Show me this is my phone. Show me. No,
you don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off. That's mine. Literally, get it back.
Are you kidding me?
All right. Let me. And I apologize for the video. It's of course filmed by morons, but I think it's actually filmed by someone that she's accusing and going after.
I think it's the dad.
Yeah. So ready?
Show me this is my phone. Show me. No,
you don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off. That's mine. Literally, get it back.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world?
No. Okay, then show me the.
No,
show me
you get a life over there.
No,
what's on your background?
No.
You better go find my iPhone. Go do that.
Find my iPhone is on.
No, you can't. No.
Okay.
All right. So he said, I'm the manager of the hotel. What do you do here if you have the phone?
You don't fucking take it out for the manager of the hotel. Fuck him, right? The dad plays this perfect. I love the dad on this. Like, she's like, "Hey, prove it," right? And in those situations, you just want to sometimes go, look, bitch, here, right? It ain't your phone, right? The dad's like, "Well, to show shit to you. Fuck off, get out of here."
No, you can't. No,
I'm the manager of the hotel.
I don't care.
He will
This is
right
my
now.
son.
Hey,
Didn't you see me just come downstairs out of the elevator?
I'm trying to help.
No, but you're not helping.
I
What
am.
you've been is disrespectful.
No, I'm trying to settle this
No,
situation.
my son has nothing to do with her.
No.
I'm trying to figure out what's
but
going
he has
on
my
in the
phone.
lobby.
Then show me the proof. No, he's not leaving. Show me the proof.
Are you
Show me
sitting
the
there?
proof.
He's not leaving.
Oh my god. I don't hate this lady as much as I hate a lot of Karens. I mean, she's clearly fucking fucked up and all that shit. Her lawyer came out today and said she had a panic attack following losing her phone. It wasn't racially motivated. Damn fucking bullshit. I don't know. But the dad knows his rights. Manager comes down trying to show a manager badge. Dad's like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like, we ain't showing you shit. And I like it. I'm here for this one. This has been one of my favorite ones we played yet.
Now she takes a spill here. Can she sue? Watch.
You better get on.
I need you away.
Let's go,
I
kid.
need you away.
I'm sorry.
Better get on. We have you see two black people.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Okay. Well, she initiates contact.
Yeah.
Now it's on. What's the appropriate response when someone starts whacking your phone?
I can't see if her arms are flailing and she's attacking or she's grabbing. She definitely bodies into the dad there. You absolutely can body back, and I would say something in and around that level of contact by her could justify punches. I mean, I'm not advocating for punching a woman. I'm just talking about from a legal standpoint of what your rights are, and you have a right to defend your property. It's his phone. He has the right to defend his property.
Let's finish it up.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Better get on. Son.
And now she's down.
Oh man, and the manager's there to help her up.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I feel bad for the manager. Like, fuck, I don't know. I just want this to end, right? Like, people are fucking fighting in my hotel lobby. Will you just show her the phone? He's like, fuck no, which is his right to say. Fucking call the police if you think I fucking stole something. Get out of here.
My phone back. I cannot not have my phone.
Did it again.
Yep.
So Brady was messaging that she's been arrested.
Yep.
Let me. You know the details of this?
All I know is that just her statement from her attorney, which is claiming a panic attack after losing her phone.
I gotta look it up.
And that it wasn't racially motivated is where they're going at.
Yeah, she was arrested. TMZ. Oh, that's a good shot of her face. That's not going to be good. Yeah, law enforcement sources tell us Mia, went anything but peacefully. We're told officers attempted to pull her over 3 blocks from her home. She refused. Once in the driveway, the officers had to physically pull Mia out of her car, and in the process, she attempted to slam the door on a deputy's leg. We're told she will likely face additional charges of resisting arrest. She is being held without bail.
I would think.
She is being held without bail as she'll be extradited to New York. Very nice. Yeah, joint effort, Ventura County and NYPD. She's expected to be charged with attempted robbery for falsely accusing and assaulting a 14-year-old black child. So the dad was talking and the kid was holding the phone.
Yeah. It was the kid's phone that the woman was saying was her.
Okay.
Right. That's why the manager's like, hey, I'm the hotel manager, going up to the kid, and the kid almost pulled his phone out, to give to him. And that's when the dad stepped in and was like, no, you're not doing that.
Yeah, her past includes 2 DUI busts in 2020 and getting arrested with her mom in February for allegedly being drunk in public at the Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills. The 14-year-old, according to the father, is now seeking trauma therapy. Let's do it. And you're right. Her attorney, Sharon Gatton, tells us the attack wasn't racially motivated. It was a result of an anxiety attack. As for her phone, that was later found in an Uber. Brady, Johnny on the spot with a good question. Can the hotel or the manager now be sued for the way they handled the situation?
So there's two different things here. First off, a premises owner isn't liable for the criminal acts of people who are on the premise unless they've created a fertile environment for criminal activity. So, like, let's say you're running this like shitty ass motel where you know there's drug deals that go on, that you rent drug dealers the room so they can make their deals there, and a drug deal goes wrong, and some innocent bystander walking on the side of the street gets hit with a stray bullet and dies. Could you sue the motel in that situation? I would say yes. They've created a fertile environment for criminal activity, and that the actions were foreseeable. Now, here in this situation, I don't think you got any of that. It doesn't appear that this seems to be a fairly nice hotel. I don't know where it was, but it looked fairly clean. Now, whether or not the hotel's actions itself were a violation, whether they committed a tort upon the child or the dad, that's a different question. Doesn't require any of the criminal activity stuff. I would say no. I don't think the manager did anything wrong. He can certainly ask to see the phone to try to resolve the dispute. I didn't see him get into any of the physical altercations. He seemed to be stepped in between. Now, last possible cause of action is you have a duty to protect any of the patrons of your business on your business to a reasonable extent from foreseeable dangers. So obviously, it's unrealistic to have line guardsmen up around your hotel on every floor to protect from every possible situation, right? It has to be from something that's foreseeable. I think they're fine here, right? The manager was down there before any physical altercation. He was doing his best to resolve the dispute. He had a crazy lady and a guy who was standing up for his rights, so she wasn't having it. And I wouldn't think that there's going to be any civil liability. Is that going to stop that family from suing the hotel? Probably not. If they hired me, would I sue the hotel as well? I probably would.
Can we come up with an aiding and abetting charge for Karen-related incidents? If you help a Karen, you're in trouble too?
Oh, certainly. If you help somebody commit a crime or
accessory to a Karen.
Yeah. If you help somebody commit a crime or if you help somebody commit a tort against somebody, it's as if you committed the crime or the tort yourself, for sure. So we just need to get up to the legislature and rename it, Karen abetting.
We'll have to do New Jersey Karen tomorrow.
Oh, Brady demanded that one too. Yeah,
I know he did. We'll have it loaded up for Koken. We need to bring some levity to the Koken Friday show. Get Dave. Yeah. Dave will either laugh or get really fucking riled up, which I kind of like the latter.
Yeah. I'll tune in to see. Hopefully he gets riled up. Well, I like Koken fired up.
All right, we're gonna close out a little bit early today. I didn't see the anti-mask rallies in Southern California this past weekend. I don't know, man. I'm in an excited mood to see what happens the first quarter of this year with a lot of the foolishness from some folks, and I think there's been unfortunately way too many cases of handling these things with kid gloves. I think the kid gloves are going to be taken off.
Yeah. And and on a good news front, a lot of the counties, not quite yet, Clark, but a lot of the counties in the state of Nevada have moved to tier 2 on their vaccinations. That means 75 and older can be vaccinated. Police officers, teachers, essential retail workers are in that tier 2. So if you have a loved one that needs to be vaccinated that qualifies for some of that, have them reach out. Not to me, I don't do the vaccine, but to their doctor or their pharmacy.
What do you make of what's happened so far, and that the distribution's been pretty crappy in a lot of places? How quickly can we fix that?
As much as I would like to lay that blame on Trump because I don't like him, I don't put this on Trump. I feel the governors across the United States should have been better prepared to distribute this. And if they needed more money, if it was a lack of resources, they should have said so. And I recall 2 months ago, 3 months ago, where the federal government had said, give us your plan for distribution by the 1st of November. We're going to have the vaccine by the second week of December. They've been saying that for months. So to act like, oh, shit, we didn't know how to do this, we didn't know how to distribute it, I'm not hearing that. I think it's on the governors of each state. They should have been better prepared. It's not that the vaccine's not getting to them. It is, and they're not distributing it. So I want to see a better job on the state and local level.